It's a Manchu. Welcome to Minecraft Bedrock vs. Java, where I play through both versions of the game and compare them. Last time I spent some time in the Nether collecting ancient debris and getting all my stuff upgraded to netherite. And I'm not done in the Nether. I'm going to do something more there. But first I think I should mention some stuff that happened for Bedrock Edition. There was a new update for Bedrock Edition, and I'm here in the Bedrock Edition world right now to talk about some things because there was 160-ish bug fixes and parity updates to kind of give better parity between Bedrock and Java. One of the things they did was change some of the villager trades. Villager clerics used to sell glowstone dust. This one still does because, I've already locked in the trades with it. But future clerics will now sell glowstone blocks instead of glowstone dust, just like they do in Java Edition. Another fix they made was there was a bug. There was an experience duping glitch for furnaces that's been around forever in Bedrock Edition, where you could access a furnace that had been smelting a whole lot of stuff, and every time you pull an item out of the furnace you get all the experience for everything that had been smelted in it ever. And it was a nice little way to get experience, and admittedly that's why I have so many levels right now, because I was repairing my tools by doing that trick while I was smelting all that gold that I found in the Nether. That has been fixed, but in the process they added a new glitch for experience from furnaces that's even easier to exploit and gives you even more experience. No. I mean, come on, guys. Really? But anyway, another change they made, which I think is really cool, is they changed the behavior of iron golems to make them act a little bit more like the way they do in Java Edition. An iron golem that's part of a village can get aggressive toward the player and angry at the player and attack them. If I summon an iron golem, and I'm going to summon it using 4 blocks of iron in a T-shape and put a pumpkin on the top of it. Well, wait a minute. I wonder if they made that change too. It used to be in Bedrock Edition you could use just a regular pumpkin, but in Java Edition you'd have to use a carved pumpkin or a jack-o'-lantern to make an iron golem. I wonder if they made that change as well. I hadn't heard about that. That's a change that I hadn't heard about them making, but that would truly make them... Wait a minute. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's because I had the torch there. Alright, like I said, you should be able to do that in Bedrock Edition. Just use a regular pumpkin and not have to be a carved pumpkin or a jack-o'-lantern like it does in Java Edition. Anyway, as I was saying, iron golems that are part of a village that were summoned by villagers can get upset at you and attack you. And it used to be in Bedrock Edition, if you punched a villager accidentally just once, the iron golem from the village would just start attacking you immediately. Now it's based on what your reputation with the village is. So if you've been doing a lot of trading with villagers and they kind of like you and you have a good reputation with them, and you accidentally punch one villager, it's not going to upset the iron golem like it used to in Bedrock Edition. So that works more like it does in Java Edition. This iron golem I have summoned, so it will not get angry at me. I can punch it, and it just, it's fine. It doesn't care. But as I punch it, you'll see cracks start to form in it. You see it's starting to get cracks in it to show that it's damaged. And the more I punch it, the more damage it's going to do. I don't want to use my netherite weapons on it because it'll just kill it more quickly. You see, it develops a lot of cracks in it. And I can take an iron ingot and use the iron ingot on the iron golem, and that repairs it. I guess one iron ingot wasn't quite enough to fully repair it, but you get the point. That's kind of a cool feature, and it's something that Java Edition has had forever. And now it works that way in Bedrock Edition too. Sorry for punching you, buddy. It was just for scientific purposes. But you see, now it's fully back to the way it was. I think I'll keep this guy around for a while. It's my new mascot, Lumpy. So anyway, I thought, I probably should bring that stuff up because it is an improvement to give better parity between Bedrock and Java, and I always like to see that. I like to see less differences between the two games. And, 160 bug fixes sounds good. If you don't understand the fact that Bedrock Edition has thousands of reported bugs. But it's progress. It's progress. That's good. But what I want to do today is make use of all of that gold that I got from mining from ancient debris. That's why I still have a golden helmet on, because I'm going back to the nether, and I'm going to use that gold to barter with piglins. If I drop a golden ingot at this piglin's feet, or just use the golden ingot on him, they'll examine it for a few seconds, and then put it away and drop some items. And there's a large variety of different items he can give me. In this case, he gave me Crying Obsidian. That's pretty cool. But I have a lot of ingots to barter with, and I want to automate this system. So I'm going to take this piglin, who's kind of wandering in the direction of my base, but I want to take him and take him back to my base, and then build an automatic system to barter with him. Okay, well, I will get some piglins, but my first attempt failed. I haven't been able to get them back to my base yet. I need to set up a place for them first anyway. I need to have an automated barter system set up for them. And I have here kind of a prototype for what I'm going to make. I have here a hopper with carpet on top of it, and there'll be like a closed off chamber here where the piglin will stand. And there's a block of soul sand here that's going to be surrounded by glass blocks, and a dropper here. A dropper is like the dispenser that I demonstrated in a previous video, but this will just drop out whatever items in its inventory, one of that item, every time it's activated. So if I activate this, it just spits out a gold ingot on top of the soul sand. The piglin in here will be able to see that golden ingot and pick it up and examine it, and it will look at it in Java Edition for 6 seconds before putting it away and dropping whatever it's going to drop, which will go into the hopper. This system won't work in Bedrock Edition. I'm going to do something quite different for that, because for one thing, soul sand in Java Edition is less than a full block in height, and that's how it's possible for the piglin to see the gold ingot there and pick it up. In Bedrock Edition, the soul sand is a full block tall, so the piglin will be able to get to it. When the piglin drops the items, there's a total of 13 different items that it can drop that are stackable, and an additional, I think, 4 items that are unstackable items. I want to come up with a sorting system to sort all that out and separate all of the stackable items into a separate chest for each item. As far as how I'm going to activate the dropper so that it drops a new golden ingot exactly every 6 seconds, for that I'm going to use an Ethonian hopper clock. And the way an Ethonian hopper clock works is I'm going to have 2 hoppers facing into each other, like that, and then put a bunch of items into the hoppers. And you see what's happening here. The one hopper I just put the items into is pushing sticks into the other hopper, and that hopper is trying to push sticks back the other way. So they're basically tossing one stick back and forth between these two. But if a hopper is powered like this, it will no longer push items. This hopper will no longer push items into this hopper. This hopper will keep pushing items into that hopper until it's full. So this hopper becomes full and this one becomes empty. Now I put sticky pistons, one facing that way and one facing that way, and those will push the redstone block back and forth. The comparator out the back of each of these hoppers is going to sense when there are items in the hoppers. So you can see from this angle, this hopper is full of sticks, so that comparator is on. This hopper is empty, so that comparator is off. Put a block on either side here, and a piece of redstone dust here. A piece of redstone dust here. That extends that piston because the comparator's on, so it's powering the piston. A piece of redstone dust here. I don't know why that was being an issue. Okay. So now what's going to happen is this redstone block here means this hopper is locked and it's just going to fill up with items. Once this hopper is empty, the comparator turns off, that piston deactivates, the other piston pushes the redstone block over to here. Now this hopper is deactivated and it's going to fill up with sticks until this is empty. And then this piston turns off, and this piston pushes the redstone block back. And it just cycles back and forth like that. I can use that to activate the dropper. I put the dropper down here. And redstone dust like this. What happens is, whenever this redstone block moves from one position to the other, while it's moving, very briefly, this redstone dust is unpowered. So that unpowers the dropper and then powers it again. And that will cause it to cycle. So every time this moves, let me take some sticks out and move more quickly. It will activate the hopper every time that moves. And drop out a gold ingot. And I just have to put the right number of items into the hoppers so that it times out that it cycles once every 6 seconds. And the magic number is going to be 18 sticks. That will cause that to work. So that pretty much covers all the redstone I'm using for this build, except for the sorter, which I will get into a little bit later, once I got this set up. But as you can hear from the sounds of gas in the background, this is a big redstone setup. I need to protect it from things like gas throwing fireballs at me and blowing stuff up. So the first things first, I gotta build a big building to house this thing in, and then build the automated bartering system, and then get some piglins to put in it. So let's get started with a time lapse. Okay, I think I'm done. I got it built. I haven't turned it on yet, but this took quite a while to do. So I have an item sorter here. It's uses filters much like what I used for the honey farm. I have a hopper here that contains the item that I want to filter out, in this case spectral arrows, and then the other slots are filled with sticks with a subliminal message in them, so that the only thing that's going to get pulled into this hopper is spectral arrows, right? Now, the hopper underneath that is locked until this hopper gets full enough so that the comparator puts out a redstone signal strong enough to light up this piece of redstone here. Then the repeater activates, powering that block, turning off the redstone torch, and allowing this hopper to unlock and start pulling items out of this hopper. It pulls items from the leftmost slot first, which means it's just going to pull the spectral arrows out until this hopper is no longer full enough for the comparator to put out a signal strong enough to turn off this redstone torch. The torch turns back on, relocking this hopper. That's the principle behind it. Now, an issue I've had with sorters like this in the past, well, in both Java and Bedrock I've had this issue. The Piglin bartering system that I've set up here is going to generate lots and lots of items. And the max speed that these hoppers can move items through them is 2.5 items per second, which adds up to 9,000 items an hour. That's not fast enough, and items will get backed up. I have each of the hoppers that the piglins are standing on goes into chests, so that will prevent the hoppers themselves from getting backed up and items ending up on top of the hoppers. But you're still going to have items backed up into these chests. So what I've done is maybe you guys can see it better from the top here. I have 8 piglins to do bartering with. And there's a set of 4 piglins which I have feeding one chain of hoppers across the top here for one set of item filters. And then another set of 4 piglins feeding another line of hoppers here with another separate set of filters. But both sets of filters feed the same chests. So I have a group of 13 filters over here feeding into these chests, and a group of 13 filters over here feeding into this chest. So that means I'm going to be able to sort through 18,000 items an hour. Still not fast enough, but it's a lot better. It's not going to back up nearly as much. So you can see here I got all 13 different kinds of items that are stackable. The unstackable items will just end up in this chest here. Water bottles and potions of fire resistance are a couple of the unstackable items that will end up in there. Alright. Now let me just turn this thing on, activate it. Ideally, I could have had hoppers feeding into each of these droppers, and then like a hopper minecart, no, actually a chest minecart, on top of, on rails on top of all this, so that I could automatically feed all of these droppers and have them have an even amount of gold distributed among all of them. Ideally, I do that, except I don't have enough iron. This build I've done here is 99 hoppers in total, and I've run out of iron. I don't have enough iron to put more hoppers into the system. So this is going to have to do. And with the gold that I have a stack plus a little more gold in each of these droppers. And now I just flip this switch and it'll activate it. And it should be on a 6-second delay. That should be just enough time for them to complete the barter transaction, and then more gold ingots are dropped. So I should see items start to build up in these chests, probably more so on in this chest here. Actually, not getting too much build up. But all the items are going through the chain of hoppers on top. See if I can get on top here. These are kind of like hopper pipelines, and they all feed through these pipelines. And if any of the items feeding through here goes over a sorter that will accept that item type, it gets pulled out and goes into that filter. And anything that's not a stackable item, that's not one of those 13 items, ends up going into this series of chests and winding up here. So far, it's doing a fairly good job of keeping up. I'm impressed. I expected to get backed up pretty badly. Well, we'll let it run through the whole stack of gold ingots for each dropper and see how much backed up it is when it's done. Alright, I ran out of ingots. That took 7 minutes to process 556 gold ingots in about 7 minutes. The filter is going to be backed up a little bit, as you can see, but it shouldn't take more than a couple more minutes for it to finish sifting through the rest of this stuff and sorting it out. This is going to give me a lot of very useful loot. Spectral arrows are always nice to have. Let's see, what else is really important to have? I like getting these ender pearls. Got a few stacks of those. Iron nuggets. I'm desperately short of iron. I used some of this iron nuggets already to make some iron ingots so I can make an iron door and have a door to this place. And string. I am desperately short on string. I need that stuff. You know, one of the things I was going to make with that honeycomb from the farm was candles, but I couldn't make any because I didn't have any string and didn't have any access to it. Now I can get string from this. Pretty cool. Alright, so much for that. I had a heck of a time getting the piglins into position. That was the roughest part of this, especially being harassed by gas. And Dad aggroed all the other piglins. All the other ziglins around. They're now upset at me. Of course they are. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, I'm in trouble. Oh no. Get away from me! Another ziglin in there? Really? No! No! Die! I hate gas. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I hate gas. 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 You freaking gassed. Get out of me. I'm not going to have that issue so much in Bedrock Edition because I'm only going to need one piglin for this automatic bartering system, and it will be at least as efficient as this one. But it's going to have its own unique challenges to deal with. So let me get into my Bedrock world and get started with that. And in my Bedrock world, I have a piglin there in a boat. I just need the one. That's all I'm going to need. And I better get out of here before more gas show up. But I think I'm in the clear. Let's just row the boat back toward... Oh, there's a ghast. There's a ghast. There's a ghast. Let's get rid of him. Let me try this. Let's put a lead on this boat, because that's something I can do in Bedrock that I can't do in Java. And then I can drag the boat behind me, and I don't have to be in the boat. evasive little sucker. Got him. There's more. I got my head on a swivel here. Is it safe to go down over there? I don't have a space big enough for a boat. I'll have to dig a space out. Oh, shoot. No, you stupid... Oh! The Ziglin got in the boat. I did not need the Ziglin to be in the boat. That is inconvenient. I was going to get and row it, but now I can't. Sorry, guys. Let me cut a space for them to get in here. Come on in. There we go. I think I'll risk killing this Ziglin because this area is completely closed off, and I don't think there's any other Ziglins nearby, so I should be safe. Because I don't hit everything in front of me with the sword, I can swing freely with the sword. In Java Edition, I'd have to use like an axe or something, so I wouldn't risk hitting the Piglin. Alright. Oh! Yeah, I forgot about that. He doesn't like it when I do that. You gonna shoot me? Are we cool? Are we good? Am I gonna have to put you in a corner? Well, one thing I will do, I didn't mention this in the Java part when I made this system. I have to put a name tag on this guy, or he will despawn. Right. Now he's named, and he'll be persistent. Let me move you somewhere out of the way. You can stay there until I need you. Alright, now, let me get started building the sorter. Alright, so... first chest goes there. We're into there. There. Hopper facing into the comparator. Repeater there. Block there. Glass block there. Block there. Redstone dust across there. Torch there. And a hopper facing that way. That's going to be the hopper chain line. Alright. That's a slightly different design from what I did in Java Edition. I tried to do this version in Java, and I couldn't quite get it to work right. I'm not sure why. What I have here now is the comparator, and it's harder to see with this block type, probably a bad choice, but I have redstone dust across the top of here, all the way to this block. So when this comparator puts out a redstone signal strong enough to power that redstone and this block, that turns off this torch, turns off the repeater, and unpowers this hopper to allow it to draw items out of this hopper. And so this is where I'll put the filter items. One specially named stick in each of those slots, and ender pearls in that slot. This part of the filter will filter out ender pearls. The advantage of this setup as opposed to what I did in Java, not that I'm going to do this because I have, again, a distinct lack of iron, but I could add extra chests down here and put more hoppers underneath. The Java Edition version had the redstone torch right in that position, so I couldn't put more hoppers underneath. Not that I'm going to do that in this case, but at least I could expand it like that if I ever wanted to. Alright, now I just need to add another filter on the other side, and essentially do what I did in Java Edition with a few extra additions to deal with a problem that the Bedrock Edition sorters always seem to have. The thing that I've always had trouble with in Bedrock when it comes to making item sorters, any kind of sorter I've ever made has an issue with once in a while an item will slip through the filters and end up in the overflow chest and not get sorted when it should be. Discussing this issue on a Reddit, saying, has anybody ever seen a solution to this problem? And you're like, nope, that's how it works, you can't fix it. But I did have a couple of ideas about workarounds for this problem. This is something that's unique to Bedrock Edition. It has something to do with the timing of how hoppers randomly push and pull items, or some kind of lag with the hoppers. I'm not really sure why it does it, but it does. One idea was that I could have 2 filters for each item I want to sort in series. Now, I have multiple sorters right now in parallel, but they were talking about having each item pass over a filter for quartz, followed by another filter for quartz, a filter for gravel, followed by another filter for gravel, so that each item passes over 2 of the same filters. The problem with that, of course, is it takes a stupid amount of iron to do that, and I just can't afford that. Another solution that was proposed was you could, using some redstone magic, slightly slow down the speed at which items pass through the hoppers, through the hopper pipeline. But that's not really going to work for me either, because speed is vital for this design. I'm sorting a lot of items from Piglin Bartering, and for that I really need maximum possible speed. I don't want to slow it down even a little bit. But then another guy came up with the idea of, what if you took everything that slipped through, and instead of putting it into an overflow chest, actually run it back to the beginning of the sorter to sort through it again. And actually, that could work. But in order to make that work, there's a couple other special accommodations I have to do. One thing I have to do is, instead of having the unstackable items end up in an overflow chest, I have to actually sort out the stackable items from anything else. Okay, so what I have here is a non-stackable item filter. The way this works is I have the hopper chain that's just feeding items through, and this is going to be the actual filter. If I look inside it, there's nothing in it. The comparator is looking at what's in this. If a single stackable item goes through this hopper, the comparator is not going to put out strong enough of a signal to power this block and turn off this redstone torch. But if an unstackable item gets into this filter, it's going to take up 1/5 of the entire space of the hopper. That allows the comparator to put out strong enough signal to activate this block, turning off that torch, turning off that redstone dust, turning off the repeater, unpowering that block, and then unlocking this hopper, which will feed into the chest below. So anything that's stackable will pass right on through this filter and into a chain. I'm going to have a chain further on. More hoppers in this chain that feed back to the beginning of the loop. Anything that's stackable goes down into this chest. And in fact, there's going to be a lot of non-stackable items. Might as well make room for them. There we go. So stuff that gets through all this chain and also gets through these sorters for unstackable items, I'll have it feed back to the beginning of the sorters here. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any special texture packs that allow you to look at where the hoppers are facing, but this chain on top Goes all the way down this way to here, then through to this hopper, and then back down this chain here. And these hoppers on the end here feed down here, across all of those filters, all the way to here, back to this hopper, and then back up this chain, looping back around. I don't need 2 sets of hoppers feeding back to both loops. That's not necessary, because it's only going to be a few items getting through that don't get sorted the first time through. It's not going to be so much that it's going to totally back up one system. Alright, so I have a sorter for unstackable items. There's one additional sorter I have to add to the system, so I have a 14th sorter for stackable items. I need a sorter for gold ingots, as well as everything else that can be dropped from the bartering. Because with the system I'm going to make for the Piglin bartering, every once in a while a gold ingot's going to slip through without the Piglin picking it up, and it's going to end up in the filter system. If I don't filter out the gold ingots as well, they'll just end up continuously circling back and forth through the upper level of hoppers forever. So I have to filter them out and sort them as well. Let's see if I can coax you into that minecart. Yay, he's in. Now let's see if I can push you up. Push you up. There we go. Okay. Progress. Just need to push you a little bit more. Up there. And I think he's in. Nice thing about Bedrock Edition is, in Java Edition, if I break this minecart, he'll pop out into an adjacent block. But in Bedrock, if I break this, he'll pop out right into the space he's in. Which is just what I need. Now, I need a way to activate that dispenser. And for that, I'm going to use something different from an Athonian hopper clock. A much simpler circuit. An Athonian hopper clock will work in Bedrock Edition, and in fact, you build it the same way, but you don't need sticky pistons. It'll work fine without. This is a timer circuit I really enjoy using. I think it's simple and effective. I put a redstone torch here. It's a very tight space here, but I put a redstone torch here that'll power that block. Then I put a repeater facing into this block. So it's powered by this block, and it in turn powers this block. Then I put a piece of redstone dust here, and that redstone dust powers this block, unpowering the redstone torch. Unpowering this, unpowering the redstone dust, unpowering that block, redstone torch turned back on again. So this will just cycle very rapidly. I can even change the timing of the repeater. That's something I didn't mention before, but a repeater delays the time between the input signal and what it puts out by between 1 and 4 ticks, each tick being about 0.2 seconds, I believe. So right now it's on 1 tick, that's the fastest it can go. I can slow it down to 2 ticks so it flashes a little slower. And slow it down to 3 ticks or 4 ticks. So I have a variable speed on it. In Java Edition, you can build this, but if the repeater's on 1 tick, the redstone torch will burn out. So it doesn't work consistently. I'm going to use 2 ticks anyway for this design and use a power switch to deactivate it so it's not on. If I run redstone here, I think that'll cycle it. Let's see. Maybe I got to put dust on here. There we go. Now that cycles this. So it's going to dispense gold ingots. I'm going to fill this with gold ingots. It will dispense gold ingots as quickly as this timer is going. In Bedrock Edition, once the Piglin gets the gold ingot, they'll spend 8 seconds examining it before they drop their items. But I can speed up that process by aggroing the Piglin, getting it angry, and it will immediately complete the transaction, put away the gold ingot, and drop whatever its drops are. So to aggro the Piglin, I'll put a sticky piston there. Sticky piston is like an ordinary piston, except the block in front of it, it will push it, and then when it retracts, it will take that block back with it. I have Gilded Blackstone here. Moving the Gilded Blackstone aggroes the Piglin. Load all my gold ingots into the dispenser. And not the lever. And then one last thing I do before starting this is I'm going to activate that hopper minecart to have it flowing back and forth. So that hopper minecart flowing underneath is going to pick up items that the Piglin drops and distribute them evenly between this row of hoppers for the sorters on that side and this row of hoppers for the sorters on this side. Now, all that's left is to activate the switch. And you can see it's getting the gold ingots, immediately completing the transaction and dropping its drops. This is working much faster than the bartering system I have in Java, and that's why I only need one Piglin to do this. And at the speed of filtering 18,000 items an hour, that is not nearly fast enough to keep up with this. But it is working. Oh, shoot. I think that was powered. Yeah, shoot. I gotta figure out something for that. I like that this lever is here, but I can't tell when it's on or not. There, now I have a lever in that position. That's better, because I can tell when the lever is down, it's powered. And that will allow me to lock the adjacent hoppers so that if there is something that gets in here into the system that's not getting filtered out, it won't just loop continuously. It can stop the system to pull those items out of the hoppers if that becomes necessary. Looks like we're done. Dispenser's empty. It's going to take a little while for the hopper minecart to finish emptying out everything else, but yeah, it's filtering through stuff pretty quick. Anyway, that hopper's empty. I can flip that switch to turn it off. And if I want to reactivate it, I just flip this switch and flip that switch, and it starts it going again. Alright, so what kind of goodies did I get? Lots of potions of fire resistance and splash potions. Unfortunately, I didn't get as many enchanting books of soul speed as I'd like, but 2 enchanting books of soul speed 1 and 1 enchanting book of soul speed 2. I could mush them all together in an anvil and get a soul speed 3 enchanting book out of that, so that's pretty good. I finally have some potions of fire resistance now. Be nice to have those on hand. The only difference in things that you get from bartering with Piglins between Java and Bedrock right now is arrows. In Bedrock, I get arrows. In Java, I get spectral arrows, because spectral arrows don't exist in Bedrock, so yeah, they gotta have something instead, so it's just regular arrows. Well, anyway, I built my bartering system and was able to use that to barter all of my gold with the Piglins in a fairly short time, once I got this thing built. And then whenever I get access to more gold, I can do more bartering. It'll be kind of nice. In the meantime, it's given me some useful resources I can make use of in the near future. But if you made it this far in this video, you probably like what you saw, so click on the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to my channel. Obviously, all of these hoppers, this particular build was, I don't know, 110 hoppers, probably more than that. So, and it was 99 hoppers in Java Edition. That's a lot of iron. I'm out of iron in Java, and I'm pretty low on iron in Bedrock. The next farm I'm going to build has got to be an iron farm. It's just got to be. But I'm probably not going to build a farm next time. Instead, I'm going to do something in yet another dimension. Next time I'm on Chooses Minecraft, Java versus Bedrock.